In the vast expanse of the Pacific, a tiny volcanic island, no bigger than Manhattan, became the stage for one of the most brutal and iconic battles of World War II. This is the story of Iwo Jima battle, defined not by grand maneuvers, but by sheer, bloody-minded attrition. Why fight over this desolate speck of rock? The answer lay in the skies. By late 1944, American B-29 Superfortresses were flying grueling 3,000-mile round trips from the Mariana Islands to bomb mainland Japan. But these missions were incredibly risky. They had no fighter escorts for the entire journey, leaving them vulnerable. Damaged planes often had nowhere to go but down into the unforgiving Pacific. Iwo Jima was perfectly positioned, almost exactly halfway between the Marianas and Tokyo. For the Americans, it was an unsinkable aircraft carrier. It would provide a base for P-51 Mustang fighters to escort the bombers, an emergency landing strip for crippled B-29SA, and a staging area for the eventual invasion of Japan. The strategic value was immense, and the decision was made. Iwo Jima had to be taken at any cost. But the Japanese knew this too. They were determined to make the Americans pay a price so high it would shatter their will to fight. In command of the islands, defense was Lieutenant General Tadamichi. He was a brilliant, unconventional strategist who had studied American industry and military might firsthand. He knew a traditional beach defense was suicide. He also forbade the reckless, suicidal banzai charges that had wasted so many Japanese lives in previous battles. His strategy was radically different, centered on one grim principle: kill as many Americans as possible, for as long as possible. Kuribayashi turned Iwo Jima into a fortress unlike anything the Americans had ever faced. He ordered his 21,000 men to dig, and dig they did. They carved over 11 miles of interconnected tunnels, deep into the volcanic rock, linking hundreds of hidden bunkers, pillboxes, and artillery positions. These weren't just simple holes. They were multi-level complexes with ventilation, storage, and command centers, all shielded from American naval and air bombardment. His orders were simple and chilling. Every Japanese soldier was to fight from their fortified position and kill 10 Americans before they themselves were killed. The beaches were to be a killing field, but not in the way the Americans expected. On February 19, 1945, D-Day arrived, following a massive, but ultimately insufficient, naval bombardment. The first waves of U.S. Marines hit the black sand beaches. The initial landing was deceptively quiet. For a moment, it seemed the pre-invasion shelling had worked. But Kuribayashi was just waiting. He was letting the Marines pile up on the shore, becoming densely packed targets. Then, from hidden positions on Mount Suribachi to the south and the quarry to the north, he unleashed hell. Pre-sighted artillery, mortars, and machine gun fire rained down with terrifying accuracy. The beach became a chaotic slaughterhouse, with nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. The very ground itself became an enemy. Iwo Jima's terrain was a nightmare. The volcanic ash was soft and loose, like quicksand. Marines sank up to their ankles, making every step an exhausting effort. Wheeled vehicles got bogged down and became easy targets. Foxholes collapsed as soon as they were dug. The island was also cut by steep, rocky terraces and jagged gullies, creating a broken landscape that broke up unit cohesion and made advancement incredibly slow and dangerous. Every feature of the terrain seemed perfectly designed to aid the defenders and cripple the attackers. Weapons clogged with the fine, gritty sand, and the constant strain on men and machines was immense. The Japanese tunnel system was the heart of Kuribayashi's defense. It allowed his forces to move unseen, shifting reinforcements to threatened sectors and launching surprise counterattacks from positions the Marines thought they had already cleared. A pillbox would be knocked out, with grenades and flamethrowers, only for Japanese soldiers to reoccupy it hours later via a hidden tunnel. At night, small teams would emerge from secret spider holes to ambush Marine lines, creating chaos and paranoia. Snipers could fire from one position and then disappear underground, only to reappear hundreds of yards away. The Marines were not fighting an enemy they could see. They were fighting the island itself. It felt as if the very rock was alive and actively trying to kill them. One of the most enduring images of the entire war happened just 4 days into the battle on D+4. After a brutal, yard-by-yard fight, a platoon of Marines reached the summit of Mount Suribachi, the 550-foot volcano dominating the southern end of the island. They raised a small American flag, and a few hours later, a second, larger flag was raised for all to see. The moment was immortalized in Joe Rosenthal's Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph, a powerful symbol of American courage and sacrifice. Seeing the flag raised from the beaches below sent a wave of morale through the embattled Marines. But the celebration was tragically premature. Suribachi was only the first major obstacle. The bulk of Kuribayashi's forces and his most formidable defenses were still waiting for them in the northern part of the island, and the bloodiest fighting was yet to come. What followed was a brutal, inch-by-inch battle of annihilation that the Marines grimly nicknamed the Meat Grinder. The northern plateau of Iwo Jima was a hellish maze of interlocking defensive zones. Places with names like Hill 382, Turkey Knob, and the amphitheater formed a triangular fortress of death. Each position supported the others with overlapping fields of fire. Taking one position was useless unless you took them all, and taking them all required head-on assaults into a storm of machine gun, mortar, and artillery fire. This was where Kuribayashi's strategy reached its horrifying peak. It was a pure war of attrition, where progress was measured in feet and paid for in blood. The fighting was relentless. Close-quarters combat with flamethrowers, demolition charges, and grenades, often fought underground in the suffocating tunnels. After 36 days of relentless combat, the island was declared secure. The cost was staggering. Out of the roughly 70,000 Marines who landed, nearly 26,000 became casualties, including almost 7,000 killed. It was the deadliest battle in the history of the United States Marine Corps. In fact, Iwo Jima holds a grim distinction. It was the only battle in the Pacific where total American casualties exceeded those of the Japanese. Of the 21,000 defenders, almost all fought to the death as Kuribayashi had commanded. Only a few hundred were taken prisoner. The casualty ratio was nearly 1-to-1, a testament to the brutal effectiveness of the Japanese defensive plan. 27 Medals of Honor were awarded for actions on Iwo Jima, more than for any other single battle in American history. In the years since, historians and strategists have debated the true necessity of the Battle of Iwo Jima. Was it worth the horrifying price? Some argue that with the war nearing its end, the island could have been bypassed, but its impact was undeniable. The first damaged B-29, named Dynamite, landed on Iwo Jima on March 4th, while the battle was still raging. By the end of the war, a total of 2,251 emergency landings were made by Super. It's estimated that these landings saved the lives of nearly 24,000 American airmen. For those crews, the sacrifices made by the Marines on the black sands below were anything but debatable. They were the reason they made it home. Iwo Jima remains a solemn reminder of the terrifying cost of war and the incredible courage of those who fight it. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more deep dives into history. Let us know in the comments what piece of history you'd like to see covered next.